Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank you and Senator Crapo for holding this hearing and for the witnesses for testifying today. I'm going to start with a question to you, Ms. Collins. As you've heard from so many of my colleagues, granted staters have been reaching out to my office in record numbers for help because they've been unable to reach a real person at the IRS. And according to your annual report to Congress, and as Senator Langford has mentioned, Senator Thune just mentioned, taxpayers who tried to call the IRS last year were only able to speak to a customer service representative 11% of the time, often after sitting on hold. To address this, you've recommended that the IRS implement an automated callback system, among other technologies. How can the IRS upgrade its technology to improve phone service for taxpayers?
Yeah, I think the callback feature would be key to offer it across all of their lines. They have multiple phone lines, and right now it's only on a portion of the phone lines.
Okay.
Sorry about this.
Speaking of phones.
Speaking of phones, right on cue. So we do think it would be helpful, but the challenge is callback only works for the amount of individuals that are answering the phone. So
Right.
if they have 15,000, let's say, customer service representative, you can only have callback for the equivalent of 15,000 individuals. So if you have 200 and I believe it was 82 million phone calls, they do not have the resources to have callback on every one of those calls.
Okay, so technology is a piece of this, but having the numbers and the capacity match is another piece of it too. Okay. To Ms. Lewis, I wrote a letter to the IRS in January highlighting the problems that the unprecedented tax return backlog has created for granted staters. And we have heard from a number of senators concerns about this, but just an example, my office has heard from constituents who paid their taxes and saw that the IRS cashed their checks, but then my constituents received non-payment and penalty notices from the IRS because the agency had not officially processed the tax returns. Although the IRS recently suspended some of those automatic notices, this has created confusion and real concern, obviously, among taxpayers. So, Ms. Lewis, how are tax preparers helping families navigate these issues during the backlog, and how could IRS further address concerns of taxpayers who receive these notices?
Thank you, Senator, and I feel for your constituent because that is who we deal with every single day.
Yep.
And I wish I had a lot of hope for you because the answer is trying to get the backlog relieved so that we can reach out to the IRS on those issues. Right now, it is probably dialing into the phone line 20 and 22 and 24 times before you can actually get someone possibly to answer and then be on hold for an hour. And then hope to not get cut off.
Right.
So I think the only answer is to get rid of the backlog. And the only answer to getting rid of the backlog is to stop the notices so that taxpayer doesn't get another 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 notices before it's resolved.
Right.
That's really the solution right now.
Thank you. I want to turn to the overall issue of IT modernization and start with you, Ms. Lucas Judy. And this follows up on another group of questions you've already had from other senators. But I've been working to modernize outdated IT systems at federal agencies all across the board. They cost more to maintain than newer systems, and they deliver worse service to taxpayers, worst of both worlds. Many of the IRS's IT systems are severely outdated, such as its tax processing mainframe, which is 62 years old. These outdated IT systems have worsened the current tax return backlog and led to extensive taxpayer service problems for people in New Hampshire who have contacted my office. So how can IRS expedite plans to modernize its obsolete tax processing mainframe to cut operations costs and improve services?
IRS does have an IT modernization plan, and GAO is currently reviewing that. We hope to have a report out on that later this year. But what I can say overall is that it's very important for the service to be able to have an inventory of what technology it currently has, to understand what it needs for the future, what it's going to cost to get there, have a schedule in place with clear timeframes and deliverables along the way, and then to be able to monitor its implementation of that plan and communicate to Congress and to the public its progress along the way.
Well, thank you for that, and I look forward to continuing to work with you and the GAO on this issue. I have another question I'll submit for the record to Ms. Collins. Thank you, Mr. Chair.